Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and the host of the Go Collect Speculation video. In this episode, we are going to spend some time talking about 6 blog posts that have been sent in to Go Collect. This first blogger does something that I think is really cool. This second blog post is actually near and dear to my heart. So this next blog post is right up my alley. I want to play a game. The MCU has done some pretty interesting things, right? The folks over at Go Collect, it was all about more than meeting the eye. You could potentially get ahead of the curve, and we all know that Marvel is going to do something with Daredevil. While we are on this topic of Spider-Man, we have to acknowledge the elephant that is in the room, and the elephant is Miles Morales, a 3.5 sold. So there you have it. We have reached the end of another Go Collect weekly recap. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and we'll tune in next week.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another one of the Wizard World virtual experiences. My name is Seth Everett. I've been moderating Wizard World panels for years now, and I love doing them at Comic-Cons. This time around, we're doing it virtually. We're coming to you live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, bringing you the Comic-Con life to the comfort of your own home with these free celebrity panels, in addition to paid exclusive experiences, including one-on-one private video chats, custom recorded messages, and autographs. And today, we're talking about literally the best cartoon. We're talking about the X-Men animated series. I can't wait for this. This I've done at panels. I've had these guys on my Hall of Justice podcast, which I know you're all going to subscribe to. Hall of Justice on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can find it. You can find all of these things on sale at wizardworldvirtual.com, and they'll continue to be there throughout the week. So even if you're watching a replay, definitely check out these once-in-a-lifetime experiences with your favorite cast members. And of course, the producers, the directors, everybody's here. I want to send a special shout out to our friends at Go Collect. Go to gocollect.com. And don't forget, check out signed memorabilia, work of art from our favorite artists and vendors from previous virtual experiences and the physical conventions. We remember those. You can just head out to wizardworldvault.com. Okay, we've got such a cast of characters, but you know what? The X-Men show is about writing, and it's about story. And one of the guys, the architects behind the stories that you fell in love with, the producer, director, he did the artwork, he helped design everything, he designed the opening theme. He is the man of the X-Men. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Houston.
Hi, everybody.
Larry, so good to see you, man. It's good to see you, and we ask this of everybody. You're well, you're healthy, you're happy.
Doing fine. I'm actually in a lobby of a hotel, so hopefully I sound good. But yeah, we're doing fine. Believe it or not, I'm on my 40th wedding anniversary today, and so wow. Yeah, so my wife gave me permission to do this.
I was gonna say, and you're here with us. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, let's bring your friends out. This gentleman is, of course, he's not Sinister at all. He's actually one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but he was Mr. Sinister, and he did it so well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in Chris Britton.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Great to be here.
I was stunned. You know, when I met you in New Orleans, I thought you'd be mean. You play mean very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's just a gift to be mean and terrible. And I've played a number of those characters on camera as well. So
yes, you have. No question about it.
Yes.
All right. Let's welcome in a gentleman who, let's face it, this is the guy that they all say they love Wolverine, but in reality, they're all Beast fans anyway. He was the voice of Beast. He could be the fiercest warrior, and he doesn't look anything like the Beast. Let's give a big round of applause for the great George Buza.
Something just happened.
No.
What happened?
George, you're the smart guy. You got to figure that stuff out.
I don't know how to work this.
You're the brains of the outfit. You know that?
I don't know what happened to me, but I've just lost all my video and everything, and
We can hear you.
Well, they're just telling you to take the blue paint off. That's all they were saying.
Well, all I've got in front of me right now is a screen that says Zoom.
All right. Well, we'll continue on, and George is
So-
here. And if they pull George off to get his camera going, they might do that. We will see about that. But we'll continue. And George, sit tight.
Hold it.
What?
It just worked.
There you go.
Good sign.
Ah!
There we go.
That
I
is-
knew if
Okay.
I
Fly
pressed
the
enough
Blackbird,
buttons,
he couldn't do
something would
this.
work.
How are you, George?
I'm still alive. Thank you very much.
He's
Charming
doing
as
great.
My blood pressure just went up about 10 points when
I'm
that
sure.
screen.
Very nice. Very nice. And of course, a gentleman who is clearly the life of the party. I just wish that he had a little bit of Wolverine's personality. I mean, Wolverine had the best lines. He has the best arcs, and he had a hell of a voice actor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in the great Cal Dodd.
Look, and I did it.
Hey, there he is.
See that? Hi.
How are you, buddy? Look at
Oh,
that. You got
it's-
Wolverine right behind you.
It's so, yeah, I do. It's so, he's always behind me. He's always got my back, pal. Yeah, it's great to be here and like nice to see all you guys because I haven't seen any of these guys in a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the clean-shaven one of the bunch here. That's
Yes.
that's true. Yeah.
And George, and Seth, George does look like Beast. What are you talking about? He looks just like him.
I was saying
Without,
that.
you know, the
I was
glasses
saying that
taken.
when his camera didn't work.
I touched something.
Well, stop doing that.
All right, guys, during the course of this quarantine, Disney Plus has come about and it has been all the rave. And if you look at social media, it's trending every week. X-Men, the animated series, has been the hottest thing on Disney Plus. You must be seeing all these new fans that are seeing something, because I'm sure we have fans watching this from all over the world, but most of them are, older because they saw the show when it first came out in the 90s. But now there's a whole generation of people that are seeing this show for the first time, and it's not kids. How does it make you feel to see people that are embracing a show you guys did so long ago?
Well, to me, it's very satisfying because, when we did the show back in the 90s, that audience, they bought all the videotapes and the DVDs, but it was only like a small core and it kind of went away. But once Disney Plus bought it, it's like, boom, we have suddenly this brand new audience of young kids. And we have the original fans of the show bringing it and introducing it to their kids.
yeah.
We've gotten a renewal.
Chris?
We've been replenished, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah, that's very gratifying at the conventions when you had a father bring their son and daughter, and they're both fans now.
Yeah.
It's, and they watch it together. That's terrific. So Disney Plus has really been a benefit to the series.
Yeah,
I would
big time.
imagine. Cal,
We're kind of in the same boat as we were
okay.
during the series, where we really didn't know how popular we were because right now we're all sitting at home.
Good point.
That's true.
And I'm tired of it. Tired of my home.
Well, Cal, and Cal, you had come to this role, and you've said in the past at past panels that Wolverine was somebody that you found incredibly engaging, that you were as interested in Wolverine as the people who saw your performance. What was it about that character that connected with you?
The size of his heart, and protecting the small guy always, and he had a huge heart underneath all that facade, and he was very, very poor with women. Like, you just can't keep a lady, this guy. But I identified in a lot of ways with him. Donna won't be seeing this. Yeah, so no, and he was such a strong, and he was just straight in your face. He didn't take any crap from anybody, and he didn't get along with most of the other X-Men either. He said that I go where I want to go. You do what you're going to do. And Cyclops, teacher's pet, sucky boy. Professor, didn't you say that we were supposed to be doing this? He said, yeah, yes, I did, Cyclops, but Wolverine's his own. Yeah, pal. I go where I want to go. And yeah, I just loved, he took no guts, no gumption from anyone, and was sweet as pie to the children, and he just had a big heart for everything. He was aggressive in everything he did.
And it's so interesting, George, to see Beast's arc, because he gets arrested in the first season and he spends so much of the first season in jail. And then you really emerge in season 2. And then later on, you play a vital role in the Phoenix Saga and all that stuff. And I just said the words Phoenix Saga, and all these fans just went like they got chills going up their spines. George, talk about the arc for Beast and how he was literally like he had a soft launch into it, and then he just took over.
Well, I wasn't exactly thrilled with being in jail during the entire first season.
Let alone hanging upside down.
Oh, I do that regularly, but as far as being in jail, that was a production decision. According to the producers, Beast was not even going to be in the regular cast for the entire spectrum of the show. And it was only after the first season that they realized that he would be a better addition to the cast, and they sprung him out. But in terms of his arc, I mean, it was always, I mean, here's this huge guy that is capable of enormous feats and strength, who always chooses to use his intellect and his emotions to overcome a situation that is stressful before going to the level of violence. And that's kind of also been a part of me for my entire life. So there's always a connection between a character and the actor who plays it.
George, Larry, did you think George just took a shot at you for making Beast in the first season be in jail? Was that a direct connection to you?
Well, Beast wasn't supposed to be a part of the show because there was so many cast members. But I think the quality of the writing and the quality of George's performance, I mean, you just had to bring him back into the second season. I think all of that worked together to bring him, make him part of the permanent cast from season 2 on. So
I loved all the literature quotes.
Oh yes,
yeah,
yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Coming out of that body.
Studious.
I think that's what most people loved about him, was this spouting literature that came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
To quote the Bard, that's just like, what?
I was
Great
an
stuff.
English major.
yeah.
And I was a desk sergeant.
I'm pretty sure a lot of kids had to go to their dictionaries, or it's like, what is
Oh,
a
yeah.
Bard?
So did I.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it when Mr. Sinister and Beast kind of became sort of, they teamed up to battle those other evil forces together. That was a nice.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of unexpected and a nice turn of events.
You guys made Sinister so scary in the beginning. Not to say that he wasn't. He came out and he was in the shadows, and the voice had that tint to it. And I would say that's all by design. But Chris, you had such a major part of that, because especially in the end of the first season, and people had no idea that you were going to be who you were. And Gene and Scott are getting married, and all of a sudden you just come out of the shadows, and I'm like, holy crap, who's that guy? And it was wild.
Yeah, the obsession with Gene and Scott and wanting to get their genes, as a matter of fact, to mutate those two. And then, all that becomes clear in the final season, in that episode Descent, his background in history and in being a doctor and all that. That was really interesting and revealing.
Larry?
What most people don't know is that at the end of the first season, we had no idea we were going to do a second season.
Oh, yeah.
So the ending of first season was just Gene and Scott talking about getting married, and they fade off, and it's on the top of a hill that was the end of the first season. And at the very last moment, the network said, don't, you got a season 2, because we all had our resumes, we were getting ready to leave. And it said, but you got to change that ending. And so literally in post-production, we changed the ending so that it brought in Sinister, was going to be the next villain for the next show. But we had to create that, like, it was within a day. We had to say, what's the art villain for the next season? Sinister. Okay, let's do that. And that's how we got you in.
Right.
And
just that little, that sort of, I wasn't seen visually, or Sinister wasn't seen visually, just that few lines he had at the end, I think.
Yeah. And because I think part of it, why we went up to Sinister is because we were ending on Jean and Scott, and who has an obsession over those two but Sinister. Right. So we figured we'd go with that arc with that fellow. And when I designed the look for your show, I wanted to make sure that Sinister didn't look like or act like Magneto or Apocalypse and stuff. So I basically kept you in the dark, like Dracula. He would come out of the dark, which your voice was excellent. And I never let him like move. It's kind of like you see Sinister, and then you see the person he's talking to. And when you cut back to Sinister, he's probably over there. And then when you cut back, he's over there. And then when he finishes his laugh, he just merges back into the shadows like this. So you really got I really wanted to create a different atmosphere and a different style for your character.
Mm-hmm.
Cal, I'm not gonna. I don't like panels where you have to make people like dance monkey. But you have some incredible stories, including. Do you mind just telling the folks that are watching virtually the amazing connection between you and the young lady who was playing Jubilee?
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the craziest small world stories in the world.
Yeah, it is.
We should say Cal Dodd, before he was Wolverine, was in a show called Circus. What other Wolverine was in a movie about a circus?
Yeah.
God, it's like
who was that? He's following me around.
Seriously,
he follows me around now.
Tell that story. That story is out of this world.
When I moved into this house, 1981, I think Jubilee. Allison lived across the street. Like literally, I didn't know, but I saw this little girl and her little girlfriend, and they were about 8 or 9 years of age. And and I had the TV show. So, and the whole neighborhood knew when I moved in. They go, "Oh, great! Now what?"
Here comes the circus guy.
And anytime I came out, she would be sitting. They would always sit in front of the house across the street, pretending they weren't looking. And they would be watching me to come out and then just kind of wave like, "How much you died?" He says, "That's the circus guy." They never knew the name. Well, they didn't know my names, and this went on for every 4 or 5 years, whatever, until she grew up and went to high school and stuff. And then they moved out of this neighborhood. And literally, she was such a sweet little thing, as was her little friend. And so I'm doing the first episode of X-Men, and in the studio, and I look across from me in the studio, and it's Alice. I said, "Allison?" She said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Dodd." Mr. Dodd. I said, "What are you doing here?" "I'm Jubilee." Unbelievable. It was a crazy, crazy story. Like, and there we were, and Wolverine loves Jubilee and protects her and all that stuff. So it was just perfect. We had a special relationship in the show as we did here. It's just a small world.
I couldn't believe that. And I mean, there's millions of people in Canada, and they found your neighbor.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's
I know.
crazy.
Like literally half a block away. It's just crazy.
And
Yeah.
Larry, in New Orleans, you referenced a story about something with the opening theme and the opening sequence, and you had to come up with that pretty quickly. Can you tell that story?
If I remember right, what I remember is that we trying to get the show off the ground, and we were working on basically the first season. We were working on kind of like almost a shoestring budget. We had no money, no time. We had to get it done. We were like running like crazy, and the opening intro for the titles, I had to create it over a weekend. So I just started drawing, getting images out of my head. I think I drew about 3 minutes of X-Men images and fights and stuff like that. And by the time it came back on when it was Monday for me to turn it in, I had to cull it down to like a minute. I think it was a minute 5 seconds. And so that's where basically the entire X-Men intro is like a stream of consciousness of putting images down and trying to make it as exciting as I could. But it was what helped was that I've been an X-Men fan. I've been a Marvel fan since, in the 60s. I used to buy comic books off the spinner racks. And I have 25, 30 years of Marvel stuff stuck in my head, And so I knew who loved who hated this one, who loved, I knew all the relationships. So when I did the intro, I knew exactly how to showcase every character's powers. And when I was working to do the titles, like if you notice, we knew that most of the audience out there did not know who the X-Men were. Mm-hmm. So I made sure to put their logos like Gambit and Storm and stuff like that. And back then, after I turned in the intro, I had to call Marvel for the logos like Beast and Gambit and stuff. And half of them, they didn't have them. And we had a fax machine. There's no computer stuff. So I think it's Storm and Jubilee. I had to draw it myself and just submit that in. So those logos are actually stuff I made up. But it was like this. We were running like crazy trying to get it done on time.
It's amazing. And it's so good. And it sticks. And that theme song is so good. And everyone right now watching this, and we have viewers from Alabama, Chicago, New Jersey, Toronto, other parts of Ontario, California, Austin, Texas, like they're all over, and they're all humming that theme song right now. Like you can't.
Austin, Texas.
Is that okay? Can people watch the X-Men from Austin? Is that all right with you?
Yeah. No, because I know especially like Big Sarge, Scott Garrett's watching us right now. I know that, and he worked security in Hill Country. Remember that, Larry? Were you at Hill Country Comic Con?
Oh yes, I was.
It was the very first one we ever did.
Yes, I remember him. You're right.
And Scott was Sarge. Scott's Big Sarge. It was the security guy. Mm-hmm. He was a great guy. Anyway, he still is. Anyway, sorry.
We have dozens of questions here coming in, so I'll get to as many as we can. Scott writes this and says, this could be asked to all. He says, but to Cal, how did you settle on the voice for Logan? What was the inspiration to go the way you did? And then he says, you could ask that to all, but if you asked Chris, he wasn't Logan, so I don't know how he got that voice. But I see what you're getting at. Scott. Cal, take it away.
What was I'm sorry.
How did you settle on the voice for Logan?
For Logan?
Yeah, remember you played him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, his friends call him Logan.
Oh my God.
So Wolverine to you. As all of us, they all did. George, when I walked into the studio, I said, "Who is he? What's he look like?" And they gave me a picture of him. Not unlike this. Actually, nothing like that at all.
No, nothing like that.
This was also at Hill Comic Con. So I walked in and they showed me a picture of him and they gave me the lines. And Dan Hennessy said, who was our voice director, and I forget who was there, Larry. I don't know. There were guys from LA and New York there. Yeah. And it's probably Sid. And anyway, so they said, well, Dan said, they're mentioning, this one throws me, Ward Bond. And I went, Ward Bond. Okay. They said, of course, Clint Eastwood. I went, yeah. Okay. I can see that. Steve McQueen, which I love. Because Steve McQueen, I love him as an actor, and he's very introverted and quiet, intense stuff. That he was a very quiet actor, and I like that. About Wolverine was sort of the same intensity inside, and I just the first line I just saw of my hometown where I grew up in a small fishing village in Port Dover, Ontario, and the line was, and this is the very first thing I ever said or tried to say as Wolverine. You like picking on people smaller than you? Well, I'm smaller than you. Pick on me. And they just kind of went, yikes, give him more lines. Give him more lines. And they gave you a bunch more lines that, that I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine retortured in his shish kebab with those claws? And they just said, okay. And they just sort of all stood up and walked around behind the desk and behind the glass. And I went home. And then the next day they called me and said, yes, we would like you to play Wolverine. I said, okay, whoever he is, whatever he does. And George apparently was the only one that knew anything about the X-Men, because the thing was called, right, George, the X Factor, the audition. It was Project X. Project X, which is kind of cool. So no one would say it's a private thing. They didn't want anyone knowing what we were doing. Well, they showed me a picture of this guy. Who is he? Anyway, that was for me. So I put together those voices in my head, there's only 5 of them in my head going at the same time, which is really easy to do for a Gemini, and I'm a Gemini. So I could do at least 2 people at the same time. So, and I added, of all people, and I don't know if a lot of people know of Wolfman Jack, but yeah, baby, the Midnight Special. I put a lot of that in his voice too, as well as Clint. I know what you're thinking, punk. But yeah, what is Wolfman Jack or whatever? Yeah, Wolfman Jack.
Yeah,
his voice was like that. Yeah, baby, the Midnight Special. And that voice came out. You like picking on people smaller than you? Well, I'm smaller than you. Pick on me. And they liked it. So did I. So I went home and pissed.
When we heard it and we said, we got it.
Yeah.
When we heard the voice, we said, we got it.
Got it. No question. All right, let's get to some other questions. This one is a question for Larry. No, this is not a question. This is for everyone. Edward writes and says, what was it like being the first Marvel Cinematic Universe with your crossover with the Spider-Man animated series? And we'll throw it to all you guys. You guys never met Christopher Daniel Barnes in the Spider-Man crew, right? Larry?
Never.
We never.
Nope.
We never saw him, and we did the lines in Toronto and, sent him in, whatever. They put it all together.
Yeah, the crossover was done by another production company, headed by my friend named John Semper.
John Semper, yep.
He's the one who was producing and directing the crossover of all these guys with Spider-Man. So on that one, I didn't have any input on that because that was done by another production company. But it was one of those things where I added all these cameos into the series, but it was all unauthorized because they were real worried about who got the rights and the rights to this character and that character. And so there were a lot of contracts that had to be worked out to get these guys onto Spider-Man. Once that was done, then that was a great crossover.
Yeah, I would get asked that question a lot
on Spider-Man.
Tell us, George.
Well, I thought it was really cool to be on Spider-Man because as a Canadian, to be transported from doing a series in Toronto to suddenly a production in LA and be a part of that was kind of a feather in your cap that we were being recognized for what we were doing up here and being a part of something that we knew was very large down there.
They were afraid of you, George. They were afraid of you. They were afraid of us. We got to get them on our side. Fuck them. Yeah, Spider-Man.
And Beast plays a big role in that whole thing, and David Warner's in that. And you have that really great scene, and it's so weird that you never even met him with Christopher Daniel Barnes, where you guys are in the forest and you guys are talking, and Spider-Man's going through this whole mutant thing, and you're trying to explain to him it's such a bad deal, and your acting was amazing in that.
Well, thank you very much. And it is that's one of the things about doing animation is that most of the time you're doing it on your own. In the beginning, we did like radio drama where we were all together in the same room, but eventually we ended up just doing individual recording sessions. So you never had the input of the other character giving his lines the way he was doing it on screen.
And you can't tell in that scene, you can't tell for a second. That's crazy. Jerry writes us and says, what were the decisions behind removing Morph and making Beast inactive for the first season? Those are probably questions for Larry. P.S. Fond memories of the show.
Okay. One of the reasons Morph was, we killed Morph off in the first episode was...
Killed him off.
Yeah, he was dead. He wasn't supposed, I don't know if you guys know it, but he wasn't supposed to come back. But one of the things we wanted to try and do was to a successful show back in the 90s was either Scooby-Doo or Super Friends. And we wanted to we wanted to let people know that the show of the X-Men that we were doing, we're not trying to do those. We're trying to do something different. We wanted to do something unique. And so we had to negotiate with the Sinister people. But once that got approved, yeah, we wanted to, have a character get killed off to show that there's things can happen that, a character can be killed. There's ramifications for all the things going on in the series. And so that's setting up Morph being killed. If you look at the original comic books, there was actually a character named Thunderbird who gets killed in the original series. But we thought twice about that because we didn't want to introduce the first Native American superhero and then kill him off in the first episode. That wasn't a good thing. So we went back into the archives. I remember there was a character called Changeling that was killed off back in issue 48 or 49 or something back there. And so we took that character and we designed, that's Morph, which is the Changeling character from those issues. But we wanted to call him Changeling, but the lawyer said no, because that was one of the characters from the Teen Titans. And even though Marvel had done it first, the lawyer said, no, just find another name. And so that's where he came up with Morph. So he looks like Changeling, but he's called Morph, and that's where that came from. What was the second part of the question? I don't remember.
And making Beast inactive. We kind of covered that.
Yeah, and he wasn't part of the original team, but by the sheer power of his personality and how well George did the performance, he became integral to the team. And so yeah, that's George powered his way through to the forefront.
Yes, he did. Oh, and by season 3, he's a centerpiece of the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Russia and Greece are also watching, so they wanted to make sure we let people know that. Craig writes us, and he says it's his favorite animated series, but he has a U in the favorite, so I think he's from Canada. Just a hunch. Craig writes and says, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of the animated series. It was and still is my all-time favorite animated series. I'm loving that it's now on Disney Plus. I'd love to know if there is ever a chance or it has ever been spoken about bringing back the X-Men animated series or a new spin-off, etc. That's the question that everybody wanted to ask. So.
Yeah. And there were rumors galore, nothing's coming to fruition.
Yeah, we've had talks, but that's about it. We've made conversation, and it's up to them to make their decision. But we've let them know that we're all available, if for whatever they want to do in the future. And I'm actually semi-retired right now, but I've told them that this is probably the only series I will come out of retirement for. If we could do like a special,
movie,
one episode or 5-part episode, whatever they wanted to do. If we had all the original team, that's what I would come out of retirement for.
We would all love to do it.
Yeah, 12 half hours would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would cost them absolutely nothing. Kind of like now. Kind of like what they pay now.
Yeah.
Lovely series, though. It's nice to be able to get talent like that for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Well, and you just reminded me to say, don't forget, if you're watching live or watching later on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, check out the paid exclusive experiences like one-on-one private video chats with these guys. I mean, again, try talking to these guys one-on-one. I've tried, and it's hard. Autographs and custom video recorded messages at wizardworldvirtual.com. All right, we have a couple more here. And this one is, here you go. This is for the whole group, and we'll let Chris and George answer this first. Have any of you guys watched the live action X-Men movies?
Yes.
I have to confess I haven't, but
Wow.
but I have recently subscribed to Disney Plus, and I intend
Okay.
to watch a few of them. Yeah.
I was
What
in the
one?
first.
Any you would recommend that would be sort of the ones that are best?
X2, that's easy. X2. The first one is just it's the first one. Days of Future Past, which
Oh,
is
okay. Yeah.
based on. I mean, you guys did the run. You guys in your first season had Days of Future Past based on the iconic comic book. George, you said you were in X-Men?
I was in the very first movie. Yes, I was the trucker that brought Rogue to the fight arena where
That's
Wolverine
wild.
was having a bout.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
And George, tell them that when they talked to you about it, they didn't even know that you were part of the original
Oh my
animated show,
goodness.
right?
Are you serious?
Well, I was there auditioning as one of the to play this trucker, and this guy who was the stunt coordinator knew me. He was an old friend of mine, and he mentioned to the director, Brian Singer, that I was the voice of Beast. And they gave me the part. And Brian told me during the interview, he says, you know, if it hadn't been for your series, we wouldn't be making this movie today.
You got that right.
So it was an honor to be in that.
That's crazy. Small world. There's so many small world stories with this crew. It's pretty amazing. And we should note, and you guys would be able to talk more about this, that if you guys did bring back the original cast to do another X-Men thing, you'd probably have to get Prime Minister Trudeau's permission, because Lenore, who played Rogue, she's a member of Parliament.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's doing a great job.
Yeah, she is. She's doing a great job.
and our prime minister, by the way, is a huge fan of the series, because I presented Eric's book to him with who else but my neighbor, the little girl who organized the whole thing. No, she did. She organized the whole thing and had me go along with her to present the book, Eric's book, to our prime minister. And it was unbelievable. He was just totally in love with the show. And he turned from her and he said, now I'm going to deal with because she presented the book to him, shook her hand and stuff. And the security guards were all behind him, like the things like this. And I'm standing right beside him with my X-Men jacket on, which is right here, George. And and he said, and I heard him say, well, now I'll deal with Wolverine. And he turned to me and I put my hand out to shake his hand. And I looked at him and I said, anytime, pretty boy. He said, because now I'll deal with Wolverine. And I said, anytime, pretty boy. And shook his head. And there's a classic shot of me squeezing the heck out of his hand.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, we have time for a couple of more here. The smallest world. It's impossible. Here's a question for Larry. And he says, sorry, there it is. Scripts provide a lot of direction and camera angles. How confining is that for an animation director? And how do you still put your artistic take on the show?
Well, for me, I've approached all of the shows. You know, the writers will give us directions on how they saw the scene, but I gave all the artists a lot of leeway to say, okay, take it with a grain of salt. They set up the shot, but you know, as a storyboard artist, use your imagination as a director, because the storyboard artist is actually the initial director of the scene. I told them, look, you can grain of salt, use your imagination, make it the most interesting shots you can make it, and just go from there. And so I would, that's how the instructions I would give everyone. And then when I got the artwork back, that's when I would start going through and editing all the scenes to make sure that it was the best depiction of the sequence that was possible. And there were, you know, sometimes in the scripts there was a thing like, I think it was in the Phoenix saga, where
season 3.
Yeah, and the first time you see Gladiator, the script called for just a thunderclap, and he was there. And I said, no, that's not good enough. So I went through and I started storyboarding. So you see just the fist coming into the world as it goes, and it builds and it builds, and then you have a thunderclap, and then you finally see Gladiator. There were things like that where I go through and just plus it, make it even better and better. And then, when they had I think they had the scene of Gladiator punching Juggernaut, and that wasn't in the script, but I knew people wanted to see that as a fan. So I threw that in. It's like Juggernaut versus Superman. It's like, boom, get that shot. So there are little things I know as a fanboy, because I'm
because you are one, right? Because you are one.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I put those little touches into the scripts, into the final storyboards, into the scene.
And it's a testament to being a fan, because a lot of times people say that the stuff that comes out nowadays, the Marvel shows on Netflix or the movies, the people who are making those are fans, and you can tell that they have reverence for the character. And in the X-Men animated series, you can tell that they have reverence for the comic books, because you guys don't do carbon copies of the comic books, but man, you pay homage to them.
Yeah, we were very lucky to have lightning in a bottle, in that the writers, when they came on a series, they had no idea who the X-Men were. Whereas I knew too much of the X-Men. It was all up here somewhere. And so I was able to educate them on the mythology and who liked who's the brother, the sister, and stuff like that. And so from there, the one strength that the new writers had was that they could look at everything with fresh new eyes, and they were very good at writing character stories. And so from that point forward, we got stories that were really good character stories, but also I made sure it stayed within the confines of the mythology that all the fans would recognize and would enjoy.
Oh, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. We got about 5 minutes to go. We're going to get as many questions as we can here. Doc writes for everybody, what is your most memorable moment from working on the show? George, you want to start?
Most memorable moment would be the very first session where we started recording the X-Men for the first time. Just to be a part of that, like, I knew what X-Men was because I was buying X-Men comic books as a kid. And to be a part of something that was so important in my childhood and that had that kind of stature to it was probably one of the most exciting moments of my life. That was a tremendous thing.
Cool.
And we were all in the studio for the first probably 2 months together, like all of us, side by side, in a circle. Myself, George, Cyclops, Jubilee, all sense, Gene, like all in a circle, all of us. That which got to be a problem for the engineer and stuff, dividing the voices and sounds. So eventually we ended up just going in one at a time and doing the whole script by yourself. But it was so cool when all of us were there. So I'd agree with George.
Chris,
I would say the first moment would be being offered the job. That would be
and then meeting me,
meeting Cal,
and then you met me.
And then I would say, meeting the cast, Lenore and Cal and George and the other cast members and Larry, but also I think
Chris Potter
in the fifth, Chris Potter, and the fifth season for me. That episode, I'll go back to that descent, where I, finally sort of, his whole background and the reason why he became Mr. Sinister, how he acquired that name. That was a revelation to me to see his whole backstory. So that was really interesting for me.
And what I liked, was the very first time that I saw an episode on TV, because we'd done like, I don't know, 13, 15 episodes before they finally aired on October 3rd, Halloween night, 92, was it? Yeah. And I was glued to the screen because I all this time doing this voice. You never see yourself; you just see the picture of him and stuff. But when I saw him on the first animated cartoon, it was I think I peed my pants. It was like, oh no, it was like, holy crap. This guy, this is great. Oh, I love this guy. And which added even more to the next time next episode, whatever. Now I know who this guy is. Oh yeah. He's this guy.
Yeah, there he is. That's Wolverine. There he is.
It made everything come together for me. Seeing myself as an animated character, not myself, Wolvie, Logan. And from then on, it was like, oh, I love this. 5 years of this, bring it on, baby.
So are you promising to wear the claws if people do the one-on-one experiences with you?
Oh, yeah.
He has
Always.
them all the time.
I do.
Quarantine must have been so much fun for your wife with you walking around with those all the time.
Oh, yes.
When he goes to Costco, he carries those.
Comes in handy at the bank machine.
Look, George, my jacket fell down. George, my jacket fell down. Here's the back of it. The X-Men. There's who's that on the back? Oh, I wonder who that is. And then the front has, the X-Men, and then of course my name. Well, Logan.
That's what only your friends call you.
Yeah, and then behind me, before we Seth. So George, we went to Chris. Did you go to Wales?
No.
Okay, so I think Rogue did, and Chris Potter. We went to Wales. But this little kid in Dublin, Ireland. So since I was that close, I was born in Dublin. I flew over to Dublin to surprise this little 11-year-old, 10-year-old kid who drew all these pictures behind me. And I got George and all the guys to sign some pictures for him. So I took them over and totally surprised this kid.
Oh, wow.
His father brought him, and his father is deaf, and he does all the signing for his father to the hotel we were at. And it just blew him away. And it's like, it was so, and his name's Daniel Fee. And he's what a brilliant kid. He has his own podcast and thing that he does out of Dublin. You're going to hear from him. He's a great kid. But anyway.
Wow, that's a great story.
Those, yeah. So I surprised his little arse, then flew home.
And you should definitely go on his podcast. Just do it on your cell phone, though. Don't do it on a good connection like this. I'm not bitter. I'm not.
No. Oh, I can see that. So.
Yeah, you can tell.
No, it's okay though.
We just wanted to say there has been so much love and thanks for the series and the comments. Parents sharing with their kids, appreciation for the incredible writing, the incredible voice work, and everything. And it's pretty amazing what these chat rooms are looking like on all three platforms: the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
Seth, what countries are tuning in? How many different countries are?
Oh, a bunch of different countries. We've said Russia, Greece, Canada, and the United States are just the ones that did the shout outs.
Wow.
We track. It's all over the world. And that's the neat thing about these virtual ones. Look, we all wish we were at a Comic-Con right now, but there's something called COVID, and it's this is a great alternative. And Wizard came up with this idea really, really early on in the product. They started talking about these virtual ones right after the shutdown, right after things started shutting down. And you give credit to forward-thinking companies that are
that's smart.
Make their best.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for final shout-outs. So I will do the reverse way we introed you guys, and we'll let these voice guys go first. And Chris, you want to start us off? A message to the fans, just a final kind of sayonara to everybody.
Yeah, I think in today's world, I wish everyone to be healthy, be careful, and to love those close to you, and be kind and caring, and keep watching the episodes and being fans. And when the conventions are back on at some point, we'd all love to see you and say hello.
Very well done. Very well done. George?
Again, I'd like to reiterate what Chris said. I'd like to tell people to be safe, to be healthy, to extend my gratitude for all the fans for watching our show through all the generations, for introducing us to their kids. And a special shout out to my brother Paul in Cleveland, Ohio, who I hope is watching.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. Cal, you have a final thought?
Yeah, I think the sign behind me speaks my thoughts. Thank you, X-Men fans. I miss seeing all of you guys at real live, and we're a long way from ever touching, shaking hands anymore. So, which I'm going to miss terribly, and I really miss airports. Don't you, George?
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Do I ever
um,
miss airports?
I love all of you. I love all of you, and I really do miss hanging with all you people. All the different cons that we do, and the people that organize them, because they're the best in the world. And for God's sakes, go wash your hands for the 15th times. And I like this one: wash your feet, because they're the hands of your legs.
Yep. Fingers crossed, fingers washed.
So
all the countries, before we get to Larry, all the countries: Mexico, Canada, Russia, Greece, United States, United Kingdom, Sweden, and Kuwait.
Wow.
beautiful.
Isn't that
Gal
great?
Gadot is big in
Amazing.
Kuwait for some reason. I didn't know.
Well, I can't wait to hear the answers.
Wow. That's incredible that we have virtually most of the world is watching this interview right
That's
now. That's
amazing.
excellent.
Love it. Love it.
Pretty much, all my compadres here said the best words. We want the audience, want you to remain safe, and we hope to see you at some of these conventions. And we want to give a big thanks for you guys for supporting the show, giving it new life. Thanks to Disney Plus and your, the words that you put out there on Twitter. Since I got on Twitter, I didn't,
Nice.
it was because of Disney Plus. I got on Twitter. It's like, my God, there's a whole world out here I never knew about. And,
Tell me about it. I know all about that, Larry.
And thanks to Wizard World for all this. I mean, this is fabulous.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And so just thank you for supporting the show. And hopefully we'll see each other in person, possibly next year when everything settles down. There you go.
Yeah. Great.
I bought this laptop just so that I could do this panel.
Wait, he did so too. And wait till you see as Wolverine, wait till you see the way I sign off this thing. Pushing that button. I'll be here all day.
Guys, and I've said this to you both on the air and off. It is an amazing show, and you guys are so great in it. All of you guys, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to Chris Britton, George Buza, Cal Dodd, and Larry Houston. These are the X-Men, the great animated series. My name is Seth Everett. Thank you for watching, and make sure you check out wizardworldvirtual.com and go meet these guys. And I promise, Chris is not sinister.
Thank you, everyone.
See you, Larry.
Bye-bye.